What up, Mr. Halim? What's going on, brother? How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Oh, Ahmed, better than last night, I will say. How about you? How are you feeling this morning?
Um, you know what? I'm not feeling so bad. I had some time, just like you, kind of like take everything in, and I'll explain that, I guess, in a few seconds. But I'm not feeling like that was we're jumping right into it. That was what was that? What happened there?
So before we jump in, I know a couple podcasts ago you were going to share a story about Nugent Hopkins. We'll save
Yeah,
that for another time. Let's just jump right into this. Jump right into the business. I
yep.
mean, I agree with you. I think overall, it's kind of an easy one to put behind us. Like Evander Kane said, you could have lost that game 3-2 in triple overtime and still be down 2-1, and or lost 12-0. Same thing, right?
Right,
It's
right.
2-1. I liked the composure and the demeanor of the team after at least the guys who came out and talked. Connor came out, Skinner came out, King came out, Coach came out. Right. I like the demeanor. How about you? What did you think? Did you feel anything on?
Honestly, that's what I want to get into. Is I was surprised at how calm McDavid was. I mean, I've seen him after games when he's really frustrated, and that frustration shows, right? You could
He
tell that he's
wears it
really,
on his face, and he didn't look frustrated.
no, he didn't look frustrated, and he wasn't holding anything back. Whereas there in the past, you watch him, and he comes after a tough game like that, and he's holding a lot of his comments to himself because you could tell that he's choked at whatever, whether it be the team or the refs or whatever it may be. He just kind of like tries to put on a professional face, but it was all natural last night. Not only him, I watched Skinner. He was pretty calm. Obviously, McDavid was calm. We watched Kaner, although he said some choice, he had some choice words for the officiating and stuff like that. I think that they were all really calm.
Yeah.
To me, it seemed like this was like during the regular season, how they have these scheduled losses. It felt like that. It felt like
You
these
felt
guys
like
were
it's getting
prepared to
lost.
lose that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I again, I like the demeanor. I have a strong feeling by no means is this series over. Let's get into it. I want to start off. Let's talk about the goaltending. I know a lot of people are giving a ton of credit to the Panthers, and they are a good team. Let's face it, they are a good team. They're a formidable opponent. Kevin BX has sort of said this during the intermission and or in between periods. He was saying that you're not really playing as bad as you think you are. But you hear the crowd. Playoffs on the road is kind of tough when it's not going your way,
Right.
because it almost magnifies the feeling. But you're not really doing as bad as you think you are, and you're never playing as well as you think you are. And I think that's the demeanor that these guys went in with. I mean, there's a lot to like about the first period, even though that we were down 1-0. I feel contrary to what a lot of people are saying. Take into account they're saying that Edmonton, got pulled out of their game, and they wanted to go and like play Florida's game, and they were completely manipulated and got taken out. I didn't see that really. I didn't see that happen. First thing, really, I just want to get into Skinner. Right after I made that prediction in the last pod that he's going to come out and he's going to have a statement game. What did I tell you right after that? What did I say for the following few days or for the following few hours, whatever the next day, whatever it was? I'm really feeling uneasy, and you know, first goal right off the bat, 56 seconds in. Uh, Grade A chance or not, I mean, like this is what I keep telling you, and I think you're finally coming around to seeing this. Grade A shots should be stopped 4 out of 5 times. Like 5 alarm shots, most goaltenders stop 2 out of 3 of those, right? Every single chance that happens on your side cannot go in. Goaltenders are in the NHL, especially, are expected to make these saves, and I don't think we got one last night.
No, and I know
Not
we've
one
talked about
at
this. Yeah, no, we've talked about this at length. It's the timing. It's about the confidence the team that gets from the saves like that you make. And I think that there are a lot of apologists for the way Skinner plays, and he's played really well. Let's just say that over the last 4 or 5 games, he's been amazing. But this is the thing we're talking about with Skinner. Like when he's on his game, it's amazing. But when he's off his
But
game, everybody can see it. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah, like I mean, there's so many things that were wrong last night.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's not just on him.
Severelli,
It's not
it
just on
wasn't
him.
it wasn't him, but imagine like we got a power play, and that first power play actually looked all right. Bobrovsky made 2-3 really good saves, and there's a couple where he didn't even see the puck. He's just battling, right? And then when you see like I don't even know what happened on that first goal. I still don't know what happened on that first goal. I do know that Nurse messed up a little bit. Leon got picked. He couldn't fight through. Lindell went around. Perfect opportunity for Nurse to smoke him. He hesitated. Puck's out in the middle, and then I don't know what's happening. Skinner's up, Skinner's down.
Well,
Right?
you know why he hesitated, Aleem, is because, like Evander said, we can't get away with it. I mean,
You're
I'm
not
sure
sure
he
what's
was.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah, you wanna take that guy out, but the refs will call probably, I would say about 100% more likely you would get called versus the Panthers on the exact same play. That's the way it
And,
is.
and that's a good perfect segue into the next thing is the officiating, right? Like exactly what you just said. Kane said it
Yep.
beautifully in his you don't know what a penalty is. There is no line. You can't judge it. There's no barometer. And both teams are doing the same things. It's just one team's getting called and the other team isn't, and that's seemingly what's
Yep.
happening right now.
Yeah.
So you're right. On a play like that, maybe the hesitation is, well, am I going to take a penalty?
Might have been an interference, might have been I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but they'll make something up, right? And it's frustrating. That's what's frustrating. And what adds to the frustration is you listen to some of these shows this morning, and again, the media split on this. The same old suspects will come out and say, "Oh, it's losers lament to blame the officials and this and that." But you know what? Like even last night, Coach Knobloch said the officiating has to be looked at. The players are saying that, the fans are saying that. Don't give me this crap about, oh, it's not the officials. It's that's bullshit.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
When the coach comes out, not once but twice, making cracks at the officials, this is a coach who never does that, and it's gotten to a point where he's getting, and I mean the Hockey Night in Canada feed, Simpson is calling all this stuff out as well.
Nice.
It's there is something there. I'm not encouraged by what Severelli said this morning, where, ideally at this point in the series, the GM is going to go in there and, find clips, and that's what you're supposed to be doing. But it falls on deaf ears. And he's got that from a GM who's like, this is futile, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the old heads in this league, they need to, I don't know. Like, I don't want to make this entire podcast about that, but it's huge. And I mean, again, when the coach says something, there's a few plays where I feel like completely turned the complexion of that game. It's 2-1. It's a hockey game. Florida comes out and they do take it a couple of shifts, they bounce back shifts, which is bound to happen. But that third goal, everybody's coming down on Klingberg, but there could have been, forget the ref, right? There could have been 2, possibly 3 infractions called on Barkov around that net. And the crazy thing is Klingberg still gets around him.
Yeah.
And then the ref takes him out and he gets pushed into the ref, right? That was one key point. I think the fourth goal was another key point. Bennett's, and I don't know. I think that's a penalty, right? And I think I'm not the only one that.
Well, I mean, I think even Frank Saravelli, you mentioned him just a moment before. Even he said that that's a penalty that gets called during the regular season, right? If it's in the middle of the season, you do something like that, 100% of the time that gets called. It's a penalty.
And that directly led to that breakaway, right? Because Podkolzin's stunned. He makes a back pass. When he picks the puck back up again, Klingberg's not ready. Something happens. They break out. They score. Those are 2 goals in a row. And I think immediately after that play, Edmonton just saw red because they're like, what the hell? You're not even going to call that? And it's 4-1 now, right? And I think that's when the rails started to come off and they started to go out and they'll be like, you know what? Screw you guys. We're coming after you.
Yeah.
And I mean, another thing, we're talking about Bennett right now. You could say, Frederick went after him, was trying to, hurt him, break his arm, whatever. But what a gutless play, right? Frederick's trying to get him to play. He's got his back turned to him. The moment the ref comes in and grabs Frederick, he jumps on him and starts fighting and punching him. In what professional sport is that allowed? That's clear attempt to injure. That would, you know what I mean? And these officials, like, what if you cannot separate them properly, then let them go, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's frustrating, man. That's the way it is.
And then I think Greer came in, their number 10 guy. Greer comes in and he starts taking shots as like a third man in when 2 guys are engaging.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens there. And then he goes after Ekholm. Ekholm doesn't want any part of this. He's trying to get off. And he starts punching him in the back and stuff, right? Just insane. I mean, we've got a list here because, like I said, I don't want to harp on the officiating. We got to move forward from this. But I mean, I said my piece. Do you have anything else to add?
Well, no, just as you're talking, a couple of notes just came out that Frederick was fined by the league two $5,000 fines for two separate incidents last night. That's all I've heard so far. I don't know if anything came on the Florida. Like Florida, they didn't do anything wrong, of course. Nothing was. So no, the for folks listening this morning, Frank Saravelli just on this topic mentioned that he has firsthand discussions with a league general manager who's basically saying that the players, the coaches, the management are all frustrated with the NHL referees because it's talking to a wall. They will not change their ways. They will stay how they are. And this mystery general manager, who Frank's spoken to, said that he has actually gone to these very specific meetings about making changes to the officiating. And it seemed as though it's just a therapy session for these guys. They just dismiss it like nothing.
They're
That's
like,
a
okay,
problem. There's a problem.
Nothing's going to change, right?
No, there's a problem there, right?
Further to that, Biz on TNT had Bettman on, and he asked Bettman a legitimate question about something to do with taxes and how that's a perceived unfair advantage. And what does he do? He just dismisses them. And he's like, that's ridiculous. And I mean, like the audacity though, the arrogance of just coming out and just dismissing things. These are legitimate points. I mean, that is not the topic at hand, but that's just an example of the guys that like are running shop here.
Yeah.
They need to be open for feedback, right? And at least consider what someone's telling them. And they're just not.
I don't know. Are you like, we're talking on the subject? I mean, about this whole, Batman's been in the league for as long as I remember, 30 some odd years now. Is that what the league really wants? Is one guy running everything? I understand you want some consistency, but for the sake of evolving the game with the times, I think that they should be termed for these commissioners 10 years and then get somebody new elected, new fresh eyes.
I agree. I feel like we should have elections. Honestly, this guy came in 1993, I think it was, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
1993 was the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup, right? So you're telling me that over 32 years, there hasn't been an opportunity, like it just, I don't know. Like,
Canadian teams have gone to the final, but you know what's happened, Alim? Let me remind you, Calgary, who should have won the cup, even though we're not Calgary fans, I fully stand that they should have won that cup, right?
If we're honest about it, they should have won the cup in Game 6.
There was goal review at that time, no skate in the blue paint, and guess what? They score a goal with the foot in the blue paint, like fully in the blue paint, and the league counted it because of what? Because of the refs and because of.
But didn't they disallow a goal too? They disallowed a Calgary goal. Didn't they? Calgary had a lead and they didn't count that goal.
That's right. That's right. And it's on and on. I mean, talk about Montreal going to the finals, getting discounted that way. Oilers have been to the finals last year, 06. Officiating has always had a say in the outcome of the cup.
Another team that we're not fans of, I agree. Another team that we're not fans of, the Canucks in 2011.
They got screwed. Right? Yeah.
they were getting screwed.
Yep.
They had a 2-0 series lead, right? And they were heading into Boston. And they couldn't win a game on.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually did win a game in Boston, did they not?
No, they didn't. Yep.
No, they didn't.
In Boston?
Didn't.
Oh, no. They went to 7. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but the thing is, like, it shouldn't be. Listen, like, we sat here in the last podcast and we made some predictions, not because I'm some hockey genius or anything. It's because we have seen this movie many, many times. And what did I say? It's potentially going to be a blowout. Not because I had some special information. It's because I've seen this movie before. I've seen how the officiating comes into play and they have a say and they impact the game and the way they resolve. And, I knew from a combination of maybe Skinner's going to become Skinner again and the officials are going to have a say in it. There was that thought in the back of my mind that this could be very much so a gift handed to the Florida Panthers, and guess what? That's what it was.
We promised when we signed in here that we weren't going to make this about the officiating and we were going to move on from this quickly. Yeah. But obviously, here we are. And I mean, look, Evander Kane, again, at the start of the pod, we said, he that cross-checking penalty when we're in the power play, right?
That's right.
Would that be called in the third period? Would that be called in overtime?
It would not be called in regular season, even. Those happen all the time.
Let's take a look at that Arvidsson penalty, right? Goaltender interference. He did knock him, but Bobrovsky acted like he got shot. Okay, what's the difference between that and the contact that Matthew Tkachuk made on Skinner? Exactly. Aside from the fact that Skinner didn't dive and act like he broke his ankle or whatever? What was the difference?
There's none, and this is the problem. And you know what? I only heard one guy in the media this morning touch on that, to say that the difference right now in the series is that Florida Panther guys have taken acting classes and they know how to sell it. And the refs, for like, these guys are professional. They should not be falling for this crap, but they fall for it like a kid falls for candy. It's absolutely stupid. Maybe and this is what the guy said. Maybe, I can't remember who it was. It's like, maybe the Oilers need to start doing that. Maybe we need to take some acting lessons, on how to flop around.
Well, that was one of your jokes at the end of last evening, right? It's composure. I can't remember what the second one was, but then the third one was acting classes, right?
Composure, discipline, and acting classes is what we need.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I mean, we can go down the list. I don't think that I don't want to take away from what Florida is doing. Florida did. But yeah, when you know that you're not getting called, it's a lot easier to step up, and then you can just hold the guy back. And they're talking about these adjustments they made because the Oilers came out and they got space. Chris Pronger, I think I sent you the tweet about it in the middle of the second period, where he's like, the ice is tilting, and this is getting very concerning if you're an Oilers fan, because Florida is not letting them in through the zone. There's no space. Why was that adjustment made, and why was Edmonton able to penetrate before? Because was Florida afraid that they're going to take penalties, and then they realize, they're not calling nothing on us? Was it a bit of that, or are they just some crazy adjustment team?
I think it's a combination of that, and you kind of touched on this as well. We both saw it. I think a lot of the Oilers fans saw it. Maybe Florida has, they've studied tape, and they know exactly what McDavid's going to do. There's at least 3 guys lined up at the blue line, sometimes 4 guys lined up at the blue line. You're not going to skate in their zone like you have against Dallas, against Vegas, against LA. Maybe it's time to dump and chase a little bit, right? And you said this last night. You said we ought to do that, maybe, right? And we're not doing that.
Just had a camera malfunction, but yeah, absolutely with you there. That's one of the things I was saying. I mean, I want to go back to Skinner again. On that third goal, right? Again, Klingberg, I think, was put in a really tough spot. The crazy thing is, if you watch the replay, and I thought I saw this live as well, he actually got away from Barkov, and it's the ref that kind of impeded him, right?
Yeah.
But why is Skinner not reading that play? Why is he not ready?
I don't know. It's not like he's not capable of it, Aleem. He has done it. He's shown us in the series against Dallas. He could be lights out, right? He could be an elite goalie in this league.
Just tracking the puck and not, and I mean, on that note, we talked about on our power play as well, right? Again, I'm not saying the entire loss is right on the refs and Skinner. The power play, we had plenty of opportunities to get in the game, but we just don't have movement on that power play. So what do we do? What are we going to do? We have to, something that concerned me as well, and I mean, they might have done this to make sure that they didn't give up any breakaways. They put Wallman on the power play to start the second period, and they took Nuge off, and we ended up scoring. But I think Nugent Hopkins came on for McDavid too. McDavid wasn't even nice for that. I think he changed, and I mean, Bouchard made a phenomenal play.
Yeah.
But what do we do? I mean, so we saw them take away the gaps. We saw Leon fight the puck. I don't even think he got a shot on net on the power play.
Yeah,
did he get shot on net in the game?
Nope.
So he's obviously got to be better. McDavid's got to be better. We know McDavid will be better. Is it a matter of being less stubborn and dumping the puck? Because that's what Corey Perry said after game 2. He's like, at some point you got to start dumping the puck in, but it didn't look like we did it. We saw other guys, like Evander Kane went in a couple of times, and he was the guy who dumped it in, and he won the puck back, and we got some chances off of it, right? So what do we got to do? I mean, we know what went wrong.
Yeah. What
do we got to do to fix it?
Well, I mean, everyone. You ask 10 people, and there'll be 10 different opinions. But I think Oilers have to get back to their game plan. They have to play They have to stay disciplined. None of these. Don't get sucked into Florida trying to draw penalties. Don't do anything like that.
That we did get sucked into their game while there was still a hockey game, or do you think that was just a product of the game getting out of hand?
It was a little bit of both. How we got sucked into it is that the acting for the Florida Panthers, paid out in spades for them.
That cross check that they called on Nurse when he dives, right?
Yep. The cross check, even the high stick on Marchand. I don't know if you watched the replays, The stick is definitely high, but it's nowhere near his face. He pushes it up his face and then he flings his head backwards and the ref buys it. That's frustration that got to the Oilers, is that these guys are actually suckering the referees into calling these penalties against us. So might as well just take penalties then, you know?
There's other people that are saying, that's called Ekblad had on Nurse when they were on the power play. They're like, Edmonton got a gift there. I don't know. The thing is, he did actually trip him, though. Did he not? Yeah. Right? They're like, oh, Nurse went down easy. Is Nurse going to go down that easy on the PK?
Yeah.
Right? That's like a borderline slew foot, too. Like, if you've got some guy barreling in on you and you, like, kick his leg out.
That's right, yeah.
I don't know, right? So, again, there's these people that say that, and the reffing was horrible both ways. I'm sure they missed some calls. I mean, it's just like last game, right? And I promise this is going to be the last thing, but somebody said this is like, after the second period in game 2, they put the whistles away. Do you really think that the teams just automatically all of a sudden stop cross-checking, stop doing all the crap that they were doing, or what? Like, do you think that's what happened? Unlikely, right? They just put the whistles away. So you go from one extreme, over-policing, to like nothing. So as Evander Kane says, how do you know what the line is, right?
Yeah. That's exactly it, man. I'm like you said, I promised last thing, but somebody said this morning on the Carrier show, the officials are playing like this is their Stanley Cup Final too.
Right? Yeah, no one's here to see that.
Yeah, nobody's here to see that, but it's our Stanley Cup Final too, so we have to anyway. I think getting back on track for the next game, I do expect the team to play better. You were asking what needs to change. I think if we're out of the gate, not in the penalty box, and both Leon and Connor get into the groove of things, which they did in first half of the first period, we were shorthanded, and Leon's not penalty killing much, and neither is Connor, although he's out there from time to time. They're not going to get in their groove of doing things.
But you got to flow. Hard to get on the flow.
Yeah. Right? That's what.
And then you're chasing the game. Yeah. I think there's a few adjustments they can make. I feel like there's too much gaps between the D-men and the forwards on a few plays, especially in the O-zone. When they're coming out, they need to come out more as a unit. I think Kane touched on it in one of his comments when they asked him. I just think that overall they need to be a bit sharper. But again, we're talking about after the score's 3-1, 4-1, right? So can we really base it off of that? Like, you're I don't know if I really don't know if we need to make that many adjustments. I do think, though, with that said, we are going to see some lineup changes.
What do you think is going to happen?
The more I think about it, a friend of mine messaged me during the game, and he's like, I think we need to take Lindbergh out. He's like, first of all, I would start Picard. I feel like that's probably not happening, although, Knobloch was not committal on that. The last time Skinner got pulled in the third period, that was, the LA series, and we saw Picard come in. But, they were talking about Klingberg and Nurse, right? It's not so much Klingberg's play, but it's more Nurse. Nurse needs predictability. It hasn't worked with what's his name on the right side. I would have thought it would have been better to have Nurse and Wallman together. Mm-hmm. But they elected to go with Klingberg and Nurse. I think we might see Stetcher come in next game.
You think so, eh?
I mean, just listening, David Staples brought this up, and just listening to him, it made a little bit of sense. Mainly because Stetcher is a very simple kind of guy, right? You know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go back, retrieve the puck, move it fast. He's going to try and impede on you. He's going to battle. He's going to do this. You know exactly what's happening. So for a guy like Nurse, he knows what to expect, and more so to improve Nurse's play, you're injecting him into the lineup, as opposed to taking Klingberg out because he's not been good, right? Mm-hmm. My thought process, though, they will never do this, but I feel like Ekholm is struggling out there a little bit.
I don't think he's fully healed, man.
Yeah, so I honestly feel like, if they're going to bring Stetcher in, maybe they go back to their old pairings that they had against Dallas and Vegas, because that was working fine, right?
Yep.
And as much as I hate to say it, take Ekholm out. Crazy thing. I'll let you go in a second. I know I'm dominating the segment here, but Jason Strudwick, right? In round 3 versus Dallas, he was cracking jokes about going, why not just go 10-8 instead of 11-7, and defensemen hate going 11-7. You know what he said last night? First thing, I think we should go 11-7.
Yeah.
And he's like, because we need to get Stetcher into the lineup. And he doesn't want to pull Ekholm out. And he's like, it might give us opportunity because then you get Connor or Leon going on another line and maybe catch them on a bad change or something.
So who would you pull out though? Would it be Fred or I mean even Nuge is not 100% right now. I even heard somebody suggest maybe Nuge should sit and get somebody else in.
Some people were suggesting last night to put Skinner in for Nuge, especially for the power play. Because he looked, I mean, they were saying that he was not on the power play because he was hurt, right? So they're just saying just put Skinner in for that. You're right, though. Who would you take out? I mean, look, maybe they take Janmark out, and maybe they try Frederick at center. I don't know. Janmark, I haven't really seen him do a whole heck of a lot. Arvidsson, he doesn't. If you want to keep the size in there, maybe you move out Arvidsson. He's playing all right, but he's getting pushed around a little bit. Maybe you do that, right? I don't know.
It's a tough call, man. I don't know.
The thing is, nobody's been playing glaringly that bad, right?
No, that's the thing, right? I'm not really convinced that anybody needs to come out. I would go with the same lineup, but yeah, if we do the 11-7, at least take out somebody, and only Nodluck knows who's really 100%, who's not. If Ekholm's not 100%, take him out. If Nuge is not 100%, take him out. You still have Leon, you still have Connor, and the guys that would be coming in, at least they'd be playing at the same level, if not better. They'd give you 100%. This is a top team we're up against. They hit, we need to hit them back. We can't have guys who are holding back or I get it. It's the finals, and these guys have waited, and there's no, you got to be. They're a little bit selfish that way too. But at the same time, if we come back from this down 3-1, dude, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, you don't see us coming back like last year, right?
No, man, you don't want to do that.
The big thing was our special teams, and I mean, we want to jump into that a little bit. Our special teams throughout the playoffs have been, enigmatic, and most, at best, I would say. How much of that do you think, though? You know what, though? With that said, the power play, we seem to be getting it done in earlier rounds, right? And right now, we're just, aside from Bouchard, we're not really getting much.
Nothing's going through. Yeah.
So what do you think? Do you think that's a lot of what Florida's doing, or do you think we can do a little more?
We talked about this too. I think it's a little bit of both. The one thing that I see from Florida PK is that they don't stand around. They do create the box, but the pressure's constantly on. Nobody really has time to do anything. Connor takes the puck around, and he's skating around, and they let him skate around if he's close to the blue line. But as soon as he tries to penetrate that box, 2 players get on him or 3.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, what I noticed a little bit that we're lacking is when they get activation with 2 guys, because that's basically what they do. They kind of play like a 2-man zone-ish, right? We are not moving. So that they kind of take away the angles and stuff. So if we even shift a tiny bit, that could make a difference. So these tiny adjustments, I feel, right?
Yeah. And they're really, really well prepared from Bobrovsky out for the one-timer coming from Leon. I mean, they anticipate that play. How many times is Connor going to try and set up Leon? I know it's kind of like a 50-50 that he's going to score, because if he doesn't miss the net, chances are he's going to score. But the puck's not getting there.
But you know what? Bobrovsky is there before the puck gets there, when it gets there, right?
That's exactly it.
Leon's got to do something other than pass it back to Bouchard for the one-timer when that doesn't work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm expecting him to have a monster game. I had another guy last night critiquing him and just saying that he elevates in first round, second rounds, and then he fades. And is that, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of emotion that goes on, so I'm not going to put too much on that. But we do need a big game from him. We need to see beast mode Leon. I also do think, though, that, despite Connor and Leon not being at their best last night, they need some help. One of the other things I just want to touch on as well, there's chaos, and then there's controlled chaos. So our power play, when it's effective, it's chaotic, right? Like if you see the goal that we scored in overtime in game 1, that was chaos. And we had Florida running around a little bit, but that was controlled chaos, right? We had nice movements, and we read off the play, we were able to use our instincts, right? Likewise, I think throughout the whole, and this is where I think the power play dictates the way that we go. When we have the power play can either get flow going for us, or it can just completely kill us. And right now I'm finding that it's actually killing us. So we talk about the penalties, but then eventually if you give a team 11 power plays, they're going to score 2 or 3. Even our power play will score 2 or 3, right? And that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't take the penalties, but
no, don't take 14 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. You know what? Again, Aleem, I think that the team knew after a certain point, and Knobloch touched on this as well, that after the third goal, they kind of knew that
He
it's
said
going to be
after the third goal, they didn't have
it's
any
pretty much
legs.
done. So I
I
think
would
the
say
entire
after the
team kind
fourth
of,
goal, I would say after the fourth goal is when everybody just got pissed off,
yeah,
right? Because that was the hit on puck goals in, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" Right? First, they let go all that crap that happened in the corner with the ref and Wallman, and or not Wallman, but Klingberg and Mr. Selke. Um, so I agree with you. That's
yeah.
kind of when. So I don't know if you can fairly measure because that's kind of what happens in games like that, right?
Um, I don't know if Florida's that much better than last year's team, man, but I think last year we had a couple of really solid games against them and they didn't have any answers for us. And I
We still
think that
haven't
we need
seen
to do
that.
that. Yeah, we
Yeah,
still have to
still
see
haven't
that.
seen.
It's got to come up next game. I know that Connor sounds really confident that our best game is not there yet, and it will be there. I think game four, like you said, is a swing game, and you have to have that game. You can't come back down 3 games to 1. So whether they make lineup changes or not, the big guns have to be your top guys have to be your top guys. Dry has to step up. McDavid, Bush. Bush has been playing amazing. There's not a lot I can critique the guy. At least he gets the shots on goal, even on the power play, and at least he gets the shots on goal. You know what I
He,
mean? But
he he has been but we have to. So there's this saying, right? Good teams play the exact same when they're up or down. You don't deviate. Obviously, you have to take a little bit more risks and stuff in the last minute of the periods and whatnot. But when it was 3-1, Ekholm, Bouchard are both in the zone pinching at the same time. There's that disjointedness that we just have to get rid of. I don't know where this is coming from, and we saw that, and that's how we lost game 2, right?
yeah.
That in overtime, that's exactly the same thing that happened. They burnt us on it enough times now, right? We got to
Yeah.
make those adjustments.
Uh, we played that brand of hockey where if a team was playing defensive and it was a low scoring game, we played right along with them. Like if you want to play defensive, we'll play with. We've kind of
Patience.
gotten away. We've gotten away from that, right?
I think in game 2, I agree with you. The fifth game versus Vegas, for instance, right? That was a non-event game, and then we went forward in overtime. We stopped them, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we did that to perfection in game 1. And we weren't forcing it a little bit. We started forcing it a little bit in game 2 because I think we saw it. We're like, this is opportunity 2-0. We can have them on the heels, right? And then it came out to back, bite us in the ass. And I think a little bit of that happened last game as well. We were pushing for offense a little bit. These are all things that they can clean up and that they can fix. And I think that they recognize it. I think the coaches are going to do a good job. I'm confident, but we do have to have our best game of the series
I
in
agree.
game 4.
I agree,
Right?
man. Like last pod, I said I'm kind of against this 2 day wait in between games, but I think in this situation with the blowout, I think the 2 days will serve the Oilers better than it would the Panthers. So they can kind of completely flush this and come back with a fresh mindset. I think they know what they're up against at this point. They know what these guys are doing. They know what they're capable of and what their weaknesses are. Only I guess wild card in this whole thing is they have to solve Bobrovsky. They cannot let that guy gain more confidence. They have to solve that guy. And they did it last year. I mean, they blew him out of the water last year. We have to kind of figure out what it is that works. Maybe the Panthers are a little bit better this year defensively, but it's not so much better that we can't break through that. And that's what I'm expecting next game.
And you know what? It was dire last year. It was 3-0,
That's
right?
right.
It was
That's
3-0.
right.
We had a stinker of a game 3 as well. We thought we were going to come out on home ice and we were going to just annihilate them. What happened? We lost 4-1, and guess who we were ragging on? Our good friend Stu. If you remember that
Is
game,
there anybody
it
else?
was a very similar game. And so you know what? We won 8-1 in game 4, I think, right?
That's right. Yeah, and they were playing. I mean, in the third period, they were out hitting, chopping, and they knew the game was over. And they were doing pretty much what the Oilers were doing last night: is sending out a message as much as they could, right?
And I mean, you heard McDavid last night too, and he said, "I don't mind it." I mean, that's what I said. At the end of the game, I'm like, I kind of like this. McDavid's like, you know what? I don't mind it. This is a sign. This is what good teams do.
You gotta
Right?
love
And that's
that.
true.
Yeah,
You basically you fight your way out of the arena, right? You're
that's
not
right.
giving up.
Yeah,
I like it. They just gotta, and we've heard it all, right? We've heard the right things being said. They just got, like you said earlier this morning, they got to come out and execute.
that's
I'm
right.
expecting that to happen. Lineup changes. I do feel like we're going to see some. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that they're going to make some adjustments. That's one thing with Knobloch. Whether we're going to see some tweaks to the lines or we're going to see actual players coming in and out, we're going to see something.
Yeah, and I think as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be very similar. Maybe Stetcher comes in or not, but one thing is for sure, if we start off game 4 with 1 or 2 weak goals right off the bat, especially in the first period, Skinner's out. He's
That's
done.
the end of the day. Yeah.
That's it. And Pickett comes in, and then we run the rest of the way with picks because we it's just we've seen this movie, like I said, too many times before, and we need to kind of break that cycle.
We don't have time to
Yeah.
to waste anymore. And you know what? What did you think of Pickard coming in? How did you feel?
Great. I don't think he did badly. I mean, the goal that he let in, just over the pad, just under the blocker, I've let in so many. That's where players go because it's such a hard one to stop. Right off the ice, about 7-8 inches, right? But other than that, I thought that he did okay. I mean, he didn't face any great chances, but he covered his angles really well.
He didn't, and I mean, I was not really. I was a lot more confident on point shots.
Yeah.
With him in net, and also the side to sides, he would get over. It
Yeah.
just honestly, in our chat, you know, one of the guys mentioned this. Pickard just seems to be able to read the play that much better than Skinner sometimes when Skinner's off. You know, I think Calvin's got the hockey sense more. Like, you know, like he notices the guys where they want to go, and he's reading it. He's able to get over quicker. I think it's that.
Well. It's that. It's also tracking the puck. There are goals where the reading part is half of it. I think the other part of this is tracking the puck.
What's the difference between tracking the puck and reading? Give me your.
So when you're reading a play, you're anticipating where it might go, right? You're looking at when a guy's coming off the right side, you're also looking to your left side to see how many players are there, who's going where. That's reading the play because he's going to pass it over there, so I have to be ready and I have to get myself over there. Tracking the puck is when somebody's passing a puck again, if you know where all the players are, even if you lose sight of the puck, you at least have an idea. Bobrovsky displayed that last night when somebody passed out front to the point and the guy took a slapper. He didn't see it. He just put his blocker out and hit his blocker.
He just knew where the guy was. Yeah.
Exactly.
So very similar. So when I kind of use reading the play and tracking the puck interchangeably.
Yeah.
That's what I meant in this context is he's able to and I don't know if that's anticipation. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is anticipation, and there are too many goals where, and you've seen where the net is absolutely wide open because Skinner hasn't been there, or he's already committed himself to the first player that got the puck. Maybe he was anticipating a slapper, and that's reading the play, right? And that doesn't happen. The guy passes it off somewhere else, wide open net. If it happened once, okay, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me more in this situation, but they keep on doing that and they get wide open nets once or twice every game. Sometimes they miss the net. Sometimes it's like yawning cage. You can't do that.
You can't go 4 for 12 on breakaways, right? You gotta go 8 for 12 on breakaways, right?
Yeah, man. That's a different thing. And the book's out on him because they keep on going on to his blocker side. The book is out. It's the same goals, and it's funny because it's actually like 4 for 12 with freaking a guy missing the net by like a mile. That's
when you had a clear-cut breakaway from like center, right? So
it's unbelievable.
Again, as soon as I made that prediction last game, I was eating my words, and I had an ulcer right after it, and I don't know. Are we going to make predictions tonight for Thursday?
Well, of course we are, and being completely unbiased, we think the Oilers are going to win because. That's the anticipation of the entire city, the entire Oiler Nation. We're all expecting at least their A game because, like Spec, and I know you don't like Spec very much, and we're on and off about him. But Spec said, "This is your season. You got 2 games left. What are you gonna do?" Right? There's no additional games coming up. You got 2 games left. You got to bring your A game. I don't care what happened in the last game, but what you do in the next 2 games is going to be everything, right?
Absolutely. But you know what? It's funny because this feeling that I have inside where I'm just learning. You ever watch Seinfeld with that episode of George Costanza where they're like, just whatever you're thinking and whatever you're feeling, do the opposite? And that's kind of where I'm at right now because inside I'm so angry. I feel horrible. I'm like, this team freaking sucks. They're losers. They're useless. They're hopeless. And guess what happens every time we feel that way? They come out with a gem of a game, right?
Yeah.
So
let's make you feel like that then.
So I feel like that right now.
Okay, good.
It's a good omen.
Yeah, good. That's great, man. I mean, based on what we saw last night, it's hard to think otherwise. But we know better. I think the pain of last year. If somebody could play clips of the locker room after Game 7 defeat to the entire team, if I were not blocked, that's what I would do. I'd put a screen on there and I would just play it and not say a word and let them all chew on that and then come out and play and see what
You
happens.
know, and I'm sure our good friend Zachary Martin Hyman will be reminding him of that as well.
That's right. That's right. Hey, the way this game's 2 days, 3 days in between games, the way this is going, Zach might come back this series at some point,
Who knows, man? Anything's possible.
That's taking so
No,
much time.
yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, we're almost like that. The funny thing was like we're like, why are the NHL awards on after next, or is it next game or is it Saturday? One of those games.
Yeah, Saturday, I think. Yeah.
Because it's July almost, man. That's
That's right. That's right. Season's about to start again. So yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, I'm confident that we're gonna get a real game on Thursday. The Oilers will put it all on the line. I think that Connor's gonna go. What do you say? Nuclear? You often say he's gonna go nuclear. He's gonna blow up, and so is supernova. Same with Leon. Yeah. And maybe even secondary scoring will kind of pick it up a little bit. Let's go, Oiler Nation. Let's get behind them.
So what do you have a score?
Some reason a 4-1, 4-2 comes to mind, I think, for the Oilers. 4-1, 4-2. I don't think it's going to be another blowout or anything like that, but I think it's going to be somewhat of a decisive game. In terms of the play and good, solid defensive play for the Oilers, where they're not going to allow a lot of... I don't think that Florida's going to get more than 25 shots on goal. There's a prediction.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, fair enough. I kind of have the same feeling. I feel like we're going to play really tight, solid defense, and we're just going to, they're not going to get many opportunities. I kind of feel like it's going to be like that LA game. Game 5, was it in LA?
Game 5, yeah.
I think we ended up winning that game 3-0 or something like that, but it was not a 3-0 game. I think we got 2 empty net goals or something. McDavid and Draisaitl were phenomenal. They couldn't score, but we got other guys stepping in. I'm expecting. I want to see Connor Brown check into this series. He was skating a little bit last game. Seems like it's coming, but guys like Podkolzin and stuff, I feel like those guys are going to step up. Yeah, man, we'll see. I'm feeling like we're going to see like a 2-1, 3-2. Maybe an empty net goal, maybe, right? And I think that's the exact type of game that we need to win.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be amazing if we blew them out 8-1 or 9-1, but I feel like if we won a squeaker like that, that'd be perfect setup for game 5 on Saturday.
The 8-1, 9-1 game will be game back home in Edmonton. I can tell you, if we come out with the win on Thursday, the Saturday game in Edmonton is not going to be close. The Oilers are going to go nuclear on them. It's going to be a blowout. I can sense that. But we have to flip the script on these guys. We absolutely cannot let them take any shots on goal, and that's going to be the priority. And then everything else after that. Defend your goal first. That's it.
I think if they focus on their own zone first and make sure they just smother these guys, the offense will take care of itself. They want to counter, and I think that's what they did a lot of with Vegas and with Dallas. More so with Dallas and Vegas, right?
Exactly.
I think we got to try and get back to that. I think we're on the same page. Hopefully they're on the same page as us, and hopefully they're able to execute.
Yeah.
And you know what? If Nuge is hurt, and even if he's got the cold or the flu, these extra next couple of days play out in our favor.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, man. Let's shut it down for now. We'll share hopefully the news story next game after the victory.
Yeah.
We'll share it at some point, right? Hopefully, hopefully next game. In the meantime, man, enjoy your day. We'll chat again soon, hopefully after another win on Thursday.
Sounds great, buddy. Can't wait. And we'll talk to you, Oilers Nation, after the game.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.